Mythology has always been a fascinating topic for me. Ancient tales of gods and heroes, monsters and magic, all trying to explain the mysteries of the world and why things are the way they are. Now, when you say mythology, probably the first thing that comes to mind is Greek mythology. Everyone knows the gods on Mount Olympus: Ares, Athena, Aphrodite, Zeus who can't keep it in his pants, that sort of thing. But as much as I love these old Grecian tales, I can also appreciate when a game delves into a lesser-known mythos. In this case, we're talking about Norse mythology, and the game is Jotun.
Disclaimer. Super Geek Girl is not an expert on Norse mythology, and despite her best attempts, may F up the pronunciation of one or more terms in this video. Super Geek Girl asks that you please not hold it against her and forgive her complete and utter ignorance of the Nordic languages. Thank you.
In Jotun, you play as Thora, a mighty Viking warrior who died a less than mighty death. In order to redeem herself and earn her rightful place in Valhalla, she must impress the gods by defeating the Jotun, gigantic elemental beings of great power. Now first off, playing as a cool Viking lady? Awesome, and oddly relevant. See, recently scientists discovered this elaborate Viking tomb made for a female warrior, and a high-ranking one at that. Which makes actually playing as a cool Viking lady also historically accurate. Double awesome! The game consists of two types of stages: exploration stages and boss battle stages. So let's start with the exploration stage first. There are 2 stages in each area, minus the starting area, and your goal in each one is to find a mystic rune that will unlock the path to the boss. Along the way, you'll also find god powers, more on those later, golden apples to increase your max health, and this guy, who will refill your health, and for some reason is a creepy old man who got his head stuck in a well. Go guys, looking at me! And each stage presents its own unique challenge, enemy, or obstacle to overcome. You'll go from chopping up vines, to braving the icy northern winds, to recreating constellations in the night sky, to grinding down the roots of the sacred tree Yggdrasil, in a manner very reminiscent of a certain blue hedgehog.
Rolling around at the speed of sound.
Okay, sorry, I talked enough about Sonic in the last video. Also, can we talk about this art for a minute? Jotun has some of the most gorgeous hand-drawn art I've ever seen in a video game. I mean, with some of these areas, you could just take a screenshot, stick it in a gold frame, and hang it on a museum wall and it wouldn't look out of place. There are numerous parts throughout the game where the camera will pan out, giving you an amazing view while also dropping some additional lore on you. But really, those moments are just there to make you go, look at how rad this is! Look at all these huge swords everywhere, and there's this giant bird with a little bird on his head, and look at that cool thing over there! Oh my god! Unfortunately, these exploration stages are also one of my biggest gripes about the game. A lot of them just feel way too empty. For example, in the beginning area, I was constantly cutting down vines left and right like an overly caffeinated lawnmower. But in the next area, I only had a total of 4 enemy encounters. Now granted, those encounters were awesome as I was cutting my way through wave upon waves of dwarves, but the rest of the stage was just me, running around aimlessly with nothing happening for a good 5, maybe 6 minutes. Hello? Dwarves? Anyone? I'm lonely. Also, I'm bored now. But sadly, aimlessly running around is more the norm than the exception for these stages. Regardless of the obstacle or puzzle you have to solve, all you're really doing is plodding along from one interactable object to the next, and honestly, it's a bit of a letdown. Once you've collected both runes, you can then challenge the boss. Now to me, this is definitely the stronger of the 2 phases of the game. For one thing, these bosses look amazing! They are so beautifully drawn with such cool and interesting designs, you could just pop them in a Dawn Blue film and they'll fit right in. Plus, the music is appropriately epic as well. Every boss feels like the final boss from some other game. And these fights are tough. So much so that it's going to be really tough for you to win without the aforementioned god powers. You find these powers throughout the exploration stages. Things like healing, diversions, a much needed speed boost, barriers, even frickin' Thor's hammer. These make the fight much more bearable, but use them wisely. You only get 2 or 3 uses per stage, and they only last for a few seconds. The rest of the time, you're completely dependent on Thora's axe, which has a horizontal swipe that does a small amount of damage, a vertical chop that does way more damage but takes forever to wind up, and a dodge roll that... Actually, the dodge is kinda useless. Really what makes these fights tricky for me isn't so much the bosses themselves as it is the character you're playing as. It's fairly easy to predict the boss's movements since they're so large and move so slowly, but a lot of the time Thor just doesn't move fast enough to get out of the way in time. Now, it may just be the way I'm playing, but to me it feels like your timing's really gotta be on point. Otherwise, you're gonna be seeing a lot of this screen. I've ragged on this game a bit, but I wouldn't be talking about it if it didn't impress me in some way, and for the issues I have with it, it also does a lot of things right. For one thing, it nails its source material beautifully. The backdrop and lore of Norse mythology makes for one of the most unique settings I've ever seen in a game like this. Coupled with the gorgeous art and atmospheric music, and you've got one of the prettiest, coolest looking indie games I've seen in a while. And like I said before, the boss battles are amazingly epic. Just what you'd expect fighting giant elemental god beasts to feel like. All in all, if you're a fan of Norse mythology or even just somewhat interested in it, this game may be well worth your time, and I definitely recommend checking it out. Just know that impressing the gods of Valhalla isn't going to be easy. Hey guys, thanks for watching this episode of Super Geek Girl Plays. If you like what I do and want to see more of it, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. And you can also check out my blog, Super Geek Girl Report, for more reviews, opinions, and, anything else I feel like ranting about. And don't forget to follow me on Facebook and Twitter as well. Alright, see you guys next time!